We have been doing it for, I think, at least 12 years. This is the first year it's not at Mitchell Lake Audubon Center, where it has been in the past. And it's here for a very particular reason. It's here because Words for Birds and the Trees They Live In is meant to be not just a convivial poetry reading, but a statement about protecting the trees and the birds and being sure that our voices are heard in poems and in other ways. Words for Birds and the Trees They Live In is co-sponsored by Stone and Stream, Roca and El Rio, which is a group of poets and writers and artists and activists for the environment, and Deceleration, which I imagine Marisol will tell you a little bit about. And I want to go down the list of readers quickly and just make sure everybody who's on the list is mentioned, is here. We have Marisol with Alicia Garlock. We have Jennifer Yanez Alanis. We have Jean Hackett. We have Victoria Fennell on her way. Rod Rodriguez. Sharon Ankrum. Kamala Platt, I think on her... Okay, ceding her time to Seba Ali. Syra Dumitru, Charles Darnell, G. Ellis Phelps, Patricia Kewen, and me. You have 4 minutes. I have a hook. I don't buy the ego trip of, well, I have so much to say that nobody else matters. Everybody matters for 4 minutes. So we will take some breaks, and those will be short, but those breaks are for any of you who want to let other folks know what we're about and what we're doing and why. This is an advocacy event as well as a poetry reading. Our first reader is Marisol Cortez, who will give some of her time to Alicia Garlock. So here's Marisol.
Thank you, Jim. Okay. Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm going to read a short, actually just an excerpt of a poem by Ross Gay to open things up, and then I'm going to turn it over to Alicia to give a little more context about why we're having the event here. And this is Wolfie. So this is going to be an excerpt from the poem To the Mulberry Tree by Ross Gay, and I chose it because it's about bird poop, and the politics of bird poop are kind of one of the central issues that's happening here, which Alicia will give you more info on, but this is from To the Mulberry Tree. Everyone knows it's good luck, if inconvenient, when a bird shits on you. But even more so, good luck if the bird shits on you when you're picking gold currant tomatoes, sweet enough to make your bare feet lift just so off the ground, and the beetles beneath scurry and giggle. And as I move to gobble one, mouth agape and swooped in a grin at once, the shit slurries half in and half on my sun-warmed chin, which, forgive me, jiggles me for my reverie. For I am only human, swiping the slurp of turd from my mouth, only to see it is mostly purple, the goop seedy and gelatinous. And when I see the bird pitching his swill from the branch above, I know that yes, this shit is mostly berry, from that most prolific of trees, which some numbskulls call a weed because it's so prolific, and not, they say, particularly useful. These same some call insipid the mulberry's flavor, which I think means tasteless or bland. But given I detect swirled in the shit the sweet of the thing, insipid doesn't fit the bill. But why should I get personal defending a tree's honor? Mostly, I'm happy the birds feast on the topmost branches of these tall trees and leave be, for the time being, my blueberries and soon blackberries and grapes and these little tomatoes.
Hi, my name is Alicia Garlock, and I have been here at Brackendridge observing the migratory egrets and herons for the last 5 years. I would like to share a quick little viewing of what I watched the other day. The trees are alive, a kaleidoscope of colors, blue and orange and white, squawking snowy egrets, little blue herons, cattle egrets. They come to the ground and they gather twigs. Which twig should I pick? This one? No, this one. Maybe this one. How do they know what the perfect twig is? The trees are alive with the sound of nature here in the park. Here at Brackendridge Park, we are fighting to protect the nesting migratory egrets. Their trees across the river face demolition, 100 trees actually in the park. And so we are fighting to protect those trees, not only for the birds, but for us, because we need trees for oxygen. But these birds are migratory. They are only here temporarily. They've been chased from Elmendorf, Woodlawn Lake, near Blue Star, elsewhere, and they were originally on one side of the river and they were displaced, and now they're all over there in the woods, which of course takes over another area. But every time the city messes with nature, nature pays them back. So this is a temporary inconvenience, but by us helping these birds protect their habitat, we are helping species that need conservation. And unfortunately, our city wants to displace them out of all parks, so we are here today, and I thank you all poets for your words for birds and for speaking out in this format to bring awareness, but to also share the beauty that you appreciate birds through your words. Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia. Marisol, that poem had goop and poop and shit and I mean, that poem had more words in it that Greg Abbott would blanch at. So here's for Greg Abbott blanching. And we by the way, we think that you might want to let Beto know that he should let people know that when they pay more for their avocados and their tomatoes at HEB, I think he should call it, Beto should call it, the Abbott tax, because that's what we're paying people. Okay, by the way, should whomever is up in this spot not hold your visual interest, turn your heads that way and you will see some of those magnificently beautiful birds as they fly through. It's tell you why we're here. They're great. Our next reader is Jennifer Yanez Alanis. There you go. Thank you, dear.
Can y'all hear me all right? That's good? Okay. I'm really, really thankful to be here and to be part of this movement. Thank you so much for having me. The first poem is called California Songbirds. The sky remains in the light, but it is empty without the jade of leaves. I sit where there was once a tree. I remember her branches, her fruit. I remember the makeshift ladder of my sister's hands cupped, holding and hoisting, my brother pulling me up. It's early May. The figs have all been picked over from where we could reach. The bluebirds perch unafraid, waiting for the open, bruised fruit we toss. This was our ritual of sharing. My sister makes a basket from her pink and yellow gingham dress, examines the plumpness and perfection of the figs before placing them as treasures in the framing of her lace. Joey and I climb bravely to higher branches, our toes gripping soft bark, hands strong and eager. We imagine the sweetness, the honey burst of summer in our mouths, teeth biting into the heaven of seeds below the trees. Side to side, my sister's body sways to the music, to the happiness of songbirds. For this next poem, I want only to, I would like to acknowledge two students to help me sort of make sense of this language that I'm lacing into the poem. And the words and phrases I feel mirror my grandmother's identity, or at least the identity that I ascribe to her. Braiding my grandmother's promise. Day ends, heat wanes, leaves freckles, flush bursts of pink. Sun-drenched mestiza adorned with deep green of jade. A heartstone framed by the brown of my skin. Sun fades, falls into the dusk of its red. As grandmother sings to me, she laces malaquita beads through the length of my hair. And I dream. I dream. I dream I am a winged ascension in her song. A wise inquietude lullaby soaring across the land. Giya ku'u'ule, her chant my calming balm. Did I not defy gravity over rivers when she sang? My journey cerulean cielos, tin ku'uk umel. I am a winged ascension in her song. Eternal stratus across horizons, persistent psalm. Giya ku'u'ule, your chant my balm. Grandmother yol iknal ko'o, my journey cerulean cielos, tin ku'uk umel. Your prayers endure, laced in each strand of my hair. Eternal stratus across horizons, persistent sound. Did I not ascend above valleys when you sang? Grandmother yol iknal ko'o, ata aan eterna, guiding me to my land. Your prayers endure, laced in each strand of my hair. Giya ku'ule, keeper of my journey. Your voice goes into the braiding of my hair. Grandmother, did I not ascend above rivers and valleys when you sang? Ahta an eterna, your chant forever promises me this land.
Okay, well, I'm just loud anyway. I'll do without it. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'd like to point out that the problem with birds winding up in a place where people don't want them is nothing new. When I was in graduate school in UT Austin in the early 90s, we had a problem with grackles. And so this is about the grackles. The tale of the campus grackles. No one bothered to ask why the smattering of campus grackles metastasized into a menace. Everyone complained how gritty guano ground into the soles of 50,000 pairs of sneakers daily, raising a stink that hung in the August air as a stagnant insult and refused to wash away with the remnants of September storms. University folk lived in fear of sunset when squawking masses of dark iridescence descended upon shady canopies of sidewalk trees, deluging the unlucky with shrieks and fresh droppings, ruining books and backpacks, gumming up hair, and stripping the sheen from colorfully painted bicycles. Along the caked, putrid streets of campus, everyone agreed coexistence between human and grackle had become impossible. Few complained when the university rented air cannons and drumming blocks to shoot the birds away. No one wondered where the flocks would go. I stumbled onto new nesting grounds several months later when I decided to duck into a supermarket shortly after sunset and, laden with groceries, found myself trying to dodge the twilight dung bombing as birds settled into parking lot trees and overhead wires for the night. All around me, fellow unfortunates grumbled. The city needs to get rid of the grackles once and for all. They need to send them packing down the river for the county to deal with. No one worried that the county, like the city, like the university, would force the birds to leave. That the county, like the city, like the university, would avoid trying to understand why grackle populations were skyrocketing, and no one was interested in finding a solution or a permanent home for the increasing numbers of avian refugees. So guys, this is nothing new. Okay, this next one, which has been rejected by 7 journals, thank you, is my favorite bird poem, and this is about something that we can learn from birds, and it's called Engendered. I spied one for the first time, posing as clickbait at the bottom of an article on self-actualization. The Gynandroth cardinal, divided in a perfect split, scarlet crowned on one side, dusty drab on the other. Cute in the way of a blue-eyed, green-eyed chimera kitten, but formed by couplets of avian genes that knew their gender from the moment of conception to create this once-in-a-blue moon rare bird. Male on one side, female on the other, in its entirety, from single cells to pin feathers. Oh, dissonance, assonance, nature seeming to get the rhyme wrong, according to humans riddled with anthropomorphic assumptions who were guilty of gullible guessing. We want to claim birds as close kin, so we classified based on outward appearance. Warm blood and grace, feathers soft as fur. Believed in the binary either or, neither nor. Ignoring the possibility of both and or betwixt and between. Hurt and puzzled when a peg doesn't fit our preordained pattern, we still struggle to believe nature is not obsessed with putting life into boxes. Though intersex starfish, parthogenic boas, and isogamous fungi, which, though neither male nor female, mate in pairs happily thrive, all among dioecious conifers, capybaras, and caribou in the jumble of life.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. If nothing else, I can at least project. Hopefully you enjoy the poetry as well, but at least you'll be able to hear it. This one is, I believe, going to be published, or was published, in the Words for Birds publication. Martel Deserts. A broken Martel station by the tracks grips the desert sand. Dark tattoos on its face smile at the camera. Blackbirds flood a white cross as a woman throws bread next to empty wine bottles. Too many miles from Paris. Too many lies from the suited businessman on a New York street corner, while above them, in the high-rise, another woman sits in an apartment she can't afford. But the fruit drips on the carpet as she exposes herself to the tree of life. The floods warp the houses, the sky in Dali-esque colors as they carry her lifeless through the desert of roses, hills in the distance, made of sleeping faces as she rests her legs across the lying grass, the air made of birds. And this other one I'm going to read, I am happy to say, was one of three. That's right, one of three poems that were accepted all at the same time at Lamar University Literary Press's new publication. It's an anthology. They're calling it Surrealists and Magical Realists Poetry Anthology. Say that 10 times fast. I'm pretty stoked about it because this is the first time all three poems of mine have been published at once. I'm pretty excited. It's supposed to be published this summer, so keep an eye out for it. That's Lamar University Literary Press. This one is called, and you may recognize this one, Rooting for Spices. Caciques live in my heartbeat, swim in my corpuscles, drown in my brown skin, and are reborn in my voice. Their rushing rivers part my curls, pour through my opened iris at 3 a.m., filter my vision in mimosa leaves, golden sunsets, Utuado Mountains, and the Adjuntas Pueblo. Taino paint my breath in tongues murmured down to my toes, my hands, the edges of my criollo, mi gente de Mayagüe, Bayamón, and Cabo Rojo. Keep feeding, caressing these roots, fatigued by a half millennium fighting Güeros, Spanish crowns, and the Caribe. I hear El Piratas whispering through taste buds, embracing oregano, cilantro, sazon, and the body follows, joins, leads me deep into El Yunque's forest by diamond emerald shores of Borican, of home. I have books available if you'd like to purchase them. I have 3 of them. The books that I have at the moment, I'm working on getting a 4th one published. Hopefully soon, we shall see. Thank you so much. Outstanding.
And I'm in love with. No, I'm okay. Anyway, these birds were absolutely wonderful. I had a treat. I sit at my computer sits in the desk where I face outside in my front, the trees and the flowers and everything.
Nice and loud, Sharon. Really nice and loud.
Beyond computer screen, out window, respite. Dry leaves fall from trees, birds fly by, counterpoint to leaves slow descent. Slow lift from limbs, slow drift from limbs, seesaw bounce of birds who disappear. One imagines them lined up beak to tail feather, soft whoosh, flock flows from behind tree trunk. I see through window, widening spiral of bird, unreal, depart, and return a jumble, cavort of celebration, replaces days of cheerless cold. Trees silent now, some leaves linger, stay put, while bottle rockets, sparklers dive toward angles, straight across, then down, swoop in and out, depart once more together. No spiral now, simply speed.
Well, hello. Welcome everyone to this beautiful, beautiful place that we all enjoy as a family or as individuals. I'm going to be reading from Absolutely Poetry. It's a book that just came out of the UK, and the money goes to Save the Children. You can get it on Amazon if you like what you hear. It has 3 generations of poets. My mom, who's sitting right here, Imelda Zapata Garcia, she's also an editor. Myself and my daughter, my sister, and my niece are all featured in here. So I want to thank Jim and everybody that's put this together. This is a beautiful and very important event, I believe. All right, the first poem I'm going to read is Paz y Dignidad para las Semillas. Should have had it marked, sorry. Okay. Semillas begin in the beginning. Semillas grow to feed our hunger. Without semillas, we have no trees. Without trees, we have no fruit. No peaches, plums, lemons, limes. Without the mighty pecan tree, we have no pecans. Nueces to feed our hunger. Without semillas, we have no corn. Without corn, we have no life, no energía, no ethanol, renewable fuel, no feed for cows, pigs, or chickens, no corn tortillas, corn chips, corn in a cup, popcorn, corn nuts. We cannot eat without corn, maíz to feed our hunger. Without semillas, we have no plants. Without plants, we have no air to breathe. No vegetables, cabbage, leafy greens to eat. Berjeria to feed our hunger. Without semillas, we have no flowers. Roses, plumeria, morning glories, pansies, calla lilies, birds of paradise. Hibiscus to make tea. Té to feed our hunger. Without semillas, we have nothing to begin life again and again. Semillas begin in the beginning. Let us not see an early end with our semillas being manufactured, genetically modified, destroyed, stolen, and held hostage by greed. Let us pray for the protection of God-given semillas. Let us not forget, semillas are nuestra vida. And one last short poem. Yeah, it's a cicada song. I look into the sparkle of the eyes, chicharras staring back at me, deep in the onyx of their bitty spheres, popping on either side of their gregarious green bodies. I see their calm serenity, wisdom. They are a little girl's confidant. Land and listen intently on her hand, exchanging glaring depth for concern, for suffering. Still in the palm of her hand, in the palm of her flesh, absorbing painful memories of Mama's tears, wiped away by her strength. Mama taught me to fight demons, fight off pessimistic feelings, how to float, flutter, and fly. Thank you.
So these are the poems that I wrote during 2021 to keep my heart open, to meet grief and numbness with cultivating beauty and gratitude. So it was my survival. So I just want to say thank you, all of you, for being here, and I love all the different ages and generations, and it's good to be grounded here. I tend to be grounded where I live, and there is no obvious body of water where I live, but for some reason there is a heron that flies through the valley, especially in the warmer months, so it has some secret body of water there that I know nothing about. And it was an important part of encouraging our spirits. So, White Heron, and it's a short poem, and I'm going to read it twice because I believe in reading poems twice, especially when we don't have them before us. So, White Heron, you fly low and certain across the green valley, white body swimming the humid air. Is there a lake hidden in this sunset land where I have lived so long that I am blind to its mysteries. Keep watching your wild wings urge as I journey beyond your seeing. Ripples from my winged wake leave flashes of light through the falling dark. White heron, you fly low and certain across the green valley, white body swimming the humid air. Is there a lake hidden in the sunset land where I have lived so long that I am blind to its mysteries? Keep watching your wild wings urge as I journey beyond your seeing. Ripples from my winged wake leave flashes of light through the falling dark. And this one's a little longer, so I'll read it once. I've come to feel that perhaps the most generous thing that I can do for the trees is to offer up my body to the trees when I pass. And I had the very good fortune of, on my birthday, at the end of last year, to discover that there's a green cemetery in La Vernia. And my husband and I were able to buy plots in January. So I'm really very thrilled. Yep.
We witnessed two of our friends, husband and wife, there.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And we picked a plot right by a tree, right by a baby tree. So, and it's curious. This gives me so much peace to know where I'm going to be. Green Cemetery, final offering. Oh, timeless ground, make room for me. Within reach of a young tree. When the day comes that my body stops, no longer drums with heat or memory, receive my remains as final offering. Let my stillness serve a purpose. Collapse slowly into the good earth in its own good time. Let my ribcage be broken open by a root seeking deeper ground. Let that tree root find the cave that was my heart and anchor. Let the bowl that was my pelvis become the small pond from which the growing root can drink. Relay water upward through the trunk, into the leaves, into the everlasting light. Amen.
It's good to see y'all. It's good to see some of the OG organizers here. Wow. I don't know about y'all, but I'm sure we have expressed today the pain that's come from watching all of this unfold. And so I'll share 3 songs if that's okay, or just one, whatever there's time for. And so the first one I'll share is a song that some of the women here that identify as indigenous to these lands created. And I think some of us know it's just Yanawana. And Yanawana is, right, like the name that many people know this land to be originally called, right? And which I understand is land of sacred waters, you know, and the water, it's connected to the trees, to the birds, to everything else. There's nothing that is disconnected or can exist without. More? Okay. So that's what this song is about, Yanawana, right? And oh my gosh, I mean, I haven't been here in a minute because I've been working, but I see that our birds are arriving, right? Mm-hmm. More and more of them, so this is a song to them as well.
Yanawana
of the articles I saw that they were claiming that these birds aren't even indigenous to here, right? Because they migrate, and we know that regardless of where they migrate to, they have babies here. There's generations, right, that have always done that, just like we have, right? And that they are indigenous to this. So it's not just speaking about us being indigenous to the earth or to this land, but also the animals and the trees also deserving that respect to exist, right? To coexist. So with inspiration of this wind around us here, if we can close our eyes and just feel the music that this wind instrument creates, the same wind that these birds fly on and soar, the same wind that these trees help create, and let's go with that wind and really feel everything that's around us right now, and maybe also put a prayer for this land to get the respect that it deserves. Receive that as a blessing. And the next one, thank you. The next one I'll share with you is next to Molly. Where's Molly?
Oh, it's on the wall.
Okay. May I have that real quick? Tune it. So this next one is in Spanish. Does anyone else speak Spanish here or understand or dabble? Okay, cool. So my artist name Ceiba is chosen after the Ceiba tree, which is the tree of life for many civilizations, not just the Maya. And it reminds me that, you know, I am rooted, that we are all rooted on this land wherever we walk, and in honor of these trees, you know, who need our voice and who deserve to be on this land, I'll sing this song in Spanish, speaking about that right. Let me just sing it real quick. in the song, you know, the trees are saying, don't cut me down, don't pull me out of the ground, right? And there's prophecies that elders have shared in around fires and indigenous communities around teepee, you know, where they've said, I mean, we personify a lot of things, right? And so they've said, you know, the trees have expressed that they want to leave because they see what humans are doing, right? And so maybe that's not literal, but in a way, right? They are receiving communication, if you believe in that. They're receiving communication that's something that they are expressing through dreams, through medicine, through different ways. So it is our duty as caretakers of the land and caretakers of where we are to protect and defend all that is here. Thank you.
The best anthology I've ever been included in, and it's not the best because I have a poem in it. It's actually excellent, and it's available on Amazon. It's called Through Layered Limestone, Texas Hill Country Anthology of Place, and it's for the benefit of the Bernie Public Library.
Very
It's
nice.
it's available on Amazon. White Wing. Did you know what it was when it hit you? Flight suddenly unbalanced, searing sting, driving deep, and the bang from far below? Did you live long enough to see the ground dizzily closer, the yellow vest already moving to where you will finally fall? Your roosting companions will miss you. Leave a space in case you are only late, not knowing you will not be there for sunset's communal coup. And this poem is based on an actual event. Roadrunner Lament. They are uncommon, but not truly rare. You see them dart across the trail, sometimes in flight, low along the ground for a short distance, then scurry into the brush, their long tail tilted up. At times you see one standing in the hot summer sun, the tail and hind legs of a striped skink hanging from its beak. It stares at you with its prize, as if to say, "See what I've caught." One spring day, along the trail, I heard what I thought was the cooing of a whitewing, but something was off, something akilter, the cooing too mournful, even for a dove. I searched the Spanish oaks, the mesquites, the hackberries, and there, atop a dead cedar elm, I spied a roadrunner eyeing me. I stopped, surprised by this sight and sound, unheard and unseen in all my years of walking this trail. He or she began a low coo, 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 with a dip on the last coo, drawn out in mournful tune, as if to say, "Here I am, lonely, lonely, lonely." Thank you.
Every day miracles happen, right?
Yeah.
Every day, just to like,
miracle.
yeah. So every day miracles happen. I'm there, the mic's right there. I brought a copy to show it to you. It's called Easing the Edges. And it's a benefit for the Patrick Heath Public Library, who sponsors the publication. Many local poets are in it. Some of you who are here are represented here. It's the kind of book that you can give and you can be sure it won't traumatize the reader. Yet it's tender and full and rich and wonderful. So check that out for Christmas or whatever. Sorry, my hair. I brought Kamala's poem. Kamala Platt is not here. She gave her time to Seba, who is a powerful voice for the future, for hope for the future. And Kamala's in this anthology. She and I are both members of the Stone and the Stream group that sponsors this reading. We're both published in this anthology, and we both were nominated for pushcart prizes out of this. So if someone who doesn't have laryngitis and who also has a loud voice would like to read Kamala's poem, I would love that.
I'll be honored.
There you go.
Egrets, Elegies, After Dark, Walcott. Winter of Westside Displacement. First week of Advent. City workers don white hazmat suits, prefiguring the prevalence of pandemic protective garb. Men board motorboats and rafts journey out with the slow, deliberate fury of a 21st century cyclone. They make landfall, deboard on Bird Island, stirred by avian phobias. Sorry. It's my first time reading this. Stirred by avian phobias, they stomp out and bag the vegetation in devilish pantomime. By the beginning of Hasselon days, they have denuded Bird Island. Following city edicts, men in suits remove all nests. Audubon volunteers transfer 6 nests south of town, rewire them into trees on the banks of recycled sewage waters where people visit from the north side, and other waterfowl abound. In the interim, Westside Barrio displacement threatens Alazan Apache, Los Cortes, built 1937. Plans are set in place for generations of birds and people who share decades, neighborhoods, La Paz and El Barrio, to be sent packing. One sunny afternoon, 2 great egrets venture out on the island barren ground. They arch wings and dance, rising in rhythm, each with the other, dance to drum beats we cannot hear. Their dance defies the city that denies them roost and nest. They dance a final dance, fly off, follow waters to the Gulf. Thank you. That was fun, thank you.
I just felt like Kamala should be represented. I want to pitch a couple of things. This is the new anthology, new from Moonshadow Sanctuary Press, which is my press. And Purifying Wind is about vultures. The whole book.
Wow.
But not every poem is about a vulture. It just has to have a vulture in it somewhere. So there are lots of very interesting and wonderful poems in this book, which won a state first prize in the National Federation for Press Women's Contest, as edited by an editor for an editorial prize. So hallelujah for that. This is available on Amazon as well, so is Easing the Edges. This book is free to the first bidder. This is a banned book. It's right here. I just read it. Absolutely True Diary. Anybody interested? Look, she's the volunteer of the hour. Lovely. This is a poem I wrote watching this happen at the pond near my home. It's a haiku. Great egret stalking the banks. Minnow by minnow hides in reeds, waits, flies. Was sunset, was so pretty. This is my newest collection. It's called Words Gone Wild. It's from Kelsey Press. And it's rhymed and metered verse for children and children at heart. And this is a haiku. Wrens chatter and warn. Cats hunt at the cyclone fence. Wild petunias bloom. Very nice. And lastly, this is soon I must go to bed, but not before the sun sinks beneath the purple skirted earth. Not until he yawns below the long blue line, dividing day from night. Not until his 100 hands hold their golden fingers high above his fiery head. Not until then must I go to bed. Soon I must go to bed, but not before the mud hen roosts by the dark green pond. Not until she glides through the thin pink skin of twilight. Not until her soft brown wing hides her curled duck head. Not until then must I go to bed. Soon I must go to bed, but not before the lullaby floats from the open throat of the croaking toad. Not before his staccato song calls the mossy shadows from the hollow log. Not before he blinks round amber eyes on his amphibious head. Not until then must I go to bed. Soon I must go to bed, but not before the vanilla moon weaves her warp and waft. Not before her gossamer thread has veiled the dark trees and lit the pasture grass. Not before the pixie's bath in her shimmering white pools. Not until then must I go to bed. Soon I must go to bed, but not before the evening breeze teases the 4 o'clock bloom, makes her bring her magenta face out from her secret hiding place. Not before the longest shadow becomes a giant striding across her glistening breast. Not until she holds her constant nighttime breath. Not until then must I go to bed.
I write lots of poems about birds, but I have one today that I wrote for today. It's titled Cattle Egrets. We arrived in the 1940s. No one is certain how we made the journey from Africa. Was it by force or choice? We are the displaced relatives of natives, elegantly dressed in their once sought-after wedding dress, plumage then costlier than gold, long legs and flaxen feet that prance, dance, attract a perfect mate, promenade rippled edge of watering holes, marshlands, Everglades, half hidden by lissom reeds in snowy white solitude, search for favorite food, French cuisine, crawfish, and frog legs, confident, alone, model for Audubon magazine cover page, our artist's canvas, brilliant white against dark night sky. We may not be as elegant, nor adorned in fancy dress, common laborer, not as photogenic with compact body, stubby legs and short neck, but come May to September, It's time for fancy dress. A touch of amber plumage arrives, adorns head, back, and neck. Choose your partner, do-si-do, it's party time. Woo. When we work, it's not alone. We come together. An ivory patrol across ordinary landscapes, hayfields, or stubble grass. Steady-eyed platoon, ochre-beaked, hunt for insects among beasts, underbellies of mares, colts, bulls, and cows. Dodge, stomp of hooves. We bayonet grasshoppers, ride bareback on mane or rump, sidestep, swish of swatted tails, feast on horseflies, reduce incidence of bovine disease. The cattlemen are pleased. We are not favored for our rookeries. Smelly guano, slow destruction of some trees, pecan, elm, and oak. We know city folk are quite displeased, want us banished, fear we cause disease, a myth, of course, like fake news believed as scientific fact. We live and die as natives now, build homes, lay eggs, raise young, do our work, try to live peaceably. No one is certain how. No one is certain how. Come with all your broken black sticks, folded, bent, split, timid, bold, twisted, curved. Make of them words. Fill every empty page with poetry. Offer them to birds that they may build nests undisturbed.
Okay. So, stop it. So I'm a former board member at the Headwaters. Happy to announce that. I'm part of the Lower Pecos exhibit at the Whitty Museum. When you go to the second floor, listen for my voice in the film. I provide cultural information to the powers that be whenever they ask. So one day the water bird flew into the blue hole at Incarnate Word and encountered the blue panther. Well, this bird just turned right back around and flew back out, and from its tail feathers let out all these water droplets, and that's how all these trees grew along the San Antonio River. Okay? What's unique about that story is that it actually takes place at the skies in November of every year. There's a star in the sky that rises in the east. It's called Fecta. To the right and below the horizon of that star is a constellation of Leo. That's your cat. Along the horizon, which would be the surface of the water, Yanaguana, the San Antonio River, as it flows through Brackendridge Park, to the right of that is the constellation of Phoenix. That's your escaping bird. What we don't hear in the story is the interaction between the bird and the panther, which is the panther's roar. Okay? From November 11th through November 12th, before Leo reaches the horizon and we get to see it, the Leonid's meteor shower is blasting out of its mouth, completing the story. And these trees tell that story because they are the axis mundi. These trees connect the underworld, the middle world we live, and the upper world, up in the sky. The birds tell their own story. The shape of the river, analogous to a constellation of stars in the sky called Eridanus, tells its story, and so forth and so on. So that's one of the reasons why I'm standing here. She's asked me to stand here to tell you that story so you understand what a cultural phenomena this is. By the way, right at midnight, when the constellation of Eridanus, the river in the sky, and the San Antonio River meet end to end at the Gulf of Mexico, every peyote ceremony in the United States and Canada stops and addresses that matter and drinks water. Okay? God bless you all.
Thank you all again for coming. We do have a petition, which is to stop the chop, save the trees, come up with a better plan than to remove 100 trees out of our park, which we need with our air quality at moderate non-attainment. You can reach out for more information on Friends of the Migratory Birds in San Antonio on Facebook. Greg has all kinds of links and information and video of us that you can reach out to him and he can give you information. We are here pretty much every day talking to people because people in San Antonio don't know what's going on. It's been kept from the public, but it's to remove 100 trees. They want to build some kind of venue, but as part of our 2017 bond project, but we didn't actually agree to that. So if you want to learn more, reach out. Friends of the Migratory Birds in San Antonio. Deceleration has information on their website, Greg Harmon, and also Protect the Grandfather Trees and the Migratory Birds on Facebook also. If you would like, sign the petition. We want them to not count down all the trees. Come to the table with the people who pay for this park to be maintained, the city. Our property taxes that just went up, they help maintain our parks. And they have not maintained this park, and we have a voice. We are the stakeholders in all our parks, and they need to have us at the table as the main stakeholders. So thank you, and hope you can get involved and help us out and stop the chop, save the trees at Brackendridge Park. Thank you. Thank you, Words for Birds, all of you. Lovely, beautiful. Thank you. God bless you all.
And I get to close us off. So thank you to all our readers, to Deceleration, to stop the chop. How about a chorus of give trees a chance? All we are saying is all right. It was an idea, not an ill-conceived idea, but an idea nonetheless. So, okay. In West, I have lots and lots and lots and lots of cattle, egret, and cow poems. They go together, and I'm not even going to read you those. But Syra, you should know that the person whose cover illustration it is buried there in that. She and her husband both, Beck Whitehead and her husband. So, and thank you to the Department of Arts and Cultural Affairs. You know, the city sometimes has a hand that knows one thing and another hand that doesn't. I also want to say Stone and Stream has in the past, also during National Poetry Month, had a water reading at Headwaters, but they're currently putting in a native grasses space, and it will be fully operational before we read again there in the fall. So we'll read near the Blue Hole or for Headwaters in the early fall, and you'll all know about it. 2 poems by other people and 1 of mine. This is Questionnaire by Wendell Berry. How much poison are you willing to eat for the success of free market and global trade? Please name your preferred poisons. 2. For the sake of goodness, how much evil are you willing to do? Fill in the blanks with the names of your favorite evils and acts of hatred. 3. What sacrifices are you prepared to make for culture and civilization? Please list the monuments, shrines, and works of art you would willingly destroy. 4. In the name of patriotism and the flag, how much of our beloved land are you willing to desecrate? List in the following spaces the mountains, rivers, towns, farms you could most readily do without. 5. State briefly the ideas, ideals, or hopes, the energy sources, the kinds of security for which you would kill a child. Name, please, the children to whom you would be willing to kill. Wendell Berry, who has spoken truth to power for over 50 years. This is Mary Oliver. How can we do anything without Mary Oliver? How can we even... This...
Step back. Step back.
Yes, that would have been exciting, yes. Mindful. Every day I see or hear something that more or less kills me with delight, that leaves me like a needle in the haystack of light. It was what I was born for, to look, to listen, to lose myself inside this soft world, to instruct myself over and over in joy and acclamation. Nor am I talking about the exceptional, the fearful, the dreadful, the very extravagant, but of the ordinary, the common, the very drab, the daily presentations. Oh, good scholar, I say to myself, how can you help but grow wise with such teachings as these? The untrimmable light of the world, the ocean's shine, the prayers that are made out of grass, the amazing Mary Oliver. I do not take it as an act of ego to try to read a poem of mine after Wendell Berry and Mary Oliver. I take it as an act of ending the afternoon. And Lawrence Musgrove's Texas assignment asked for work on extinction, and I sent him this. This is called Gone, and it starts with a quote from Peter Beagle's The Last Unicorn, which says, "Why did they go away, you think, if there ever were such things? Lasting and lastness, elasticity of a world which can accommodate so much loss and keep spinning, and then without so much as a word of farewell, not a trace left behind. They're all gone. Elasticity of an empathy and arms to stretch, to gather them all up. Save what you can, every last one, before they're all